On a quiet November evening in 1987, millions of people in Chicago were watching television. Then, without warning, their screens flickered and something else took over. A figure in a strange mask appeared, jerking and distorted, in front of a flickering background. There was no sound at first, then a burst of buzzing noise. For a minute and a half, someone had stolen the airwaves. Then it vanished. Whoever did it has never been found. This is the Max Headroom incident. Welcome to Curio Hour, where we uncover the strange, the unsolved, and the unforgettable. Today's story: the Max Headroom incident. To understand this strange event, we have to go back to the world of television in the 1980s. It was a very different time, before the internet, before streaming. In those days, people watched a handful of channels, broadcast through the air on powerful signals. Whatever was on those channels reached millions of homes at once. And there was a strange figure who was everywhere in popular culture at the time. A computer-generated character named Max Headroom. Max Headroom was presented as an artificial intelligence, a wisecracking digital host with slick-back hair, dark sunglasses, and a stuttering, glitching voice. He appeared in a television show, in commercials, and across the media. He was the very image of the futuristic, computerized world that people imagined was coming. This character is important because the person at the heart of our mystery chose to dress up as him. A disguise that was instantly recognizable, yet revealed nothing. Now, hijacking a television signal is not easy. The broadcasters used powerful transmitters, and to override them, an intruder would need an even more powerful signal of their own. It would take real technical knowledge, expensive equipment, and considerable nerve. And on the night of November the 22nd, 1987, someone had all three. The first intrusion happened during the evening sports report on a major Chicago news station. A sportscaster was reading the highlights of the day's games. Suddenly, the screen went black. Then, for a few seconds, the image of the masked Max Headroom figure appeared, rocking back and forth against a strange backdrop. There was no audio, only visual static and a harsh buzzing. The figure swayed silently, the eerie mask staring out at the audience for about 20 seconds. Then, just as suddenly, the signal cut back to the bewildered sportscaster. He laughed nervously and remarked that he did not know what that was all about. The station's engineers scrambled. They quickly switched their signal path to block the intruder. They had managed to push the hijacker off the air. But it was only the beginning. The intrusion had been brief, strange, and harmless. Viewers were puzzled, the station was annoyed, and most people assumed that would be the end of it. But the mysterious broadcaster was not finished. About 2 hours later, they struck again. And this time, the intrusion was longer and far stranger. The second hijacking happened on a different station entirely, a public television channel that was airing an episode of a British science fiction show. Right in the middle of the program, the picture broke up and the masked figure returned. This time the audio worked and the figure spoke. What followed was about 90 seconds of bizarre, rambling, distorted ranting. The voice was warped and hard to understand, full of strange references and odd laughter. The figure made mocking comments, hummed a tune, and referenced the very channel it had first interrupted. It was clearly the same person, taunting the broadcasters. Behind the figure, a piece of corrugated metal spun, mimicking the moving background of the real Max Headroom character. The whole thing was deliberate and theatrical. Then the broadcast took a turn that made it genuinely disturbing. The scene shifted and a second person, partly out of view, appeared to be involved. The masked figure bent over, and the segment ended with a strange and crude act before the picture finally cut out and the normal program returned. And just like that, it was over. The whole second intrusion had lasted about a minute and a half. The masked broadcaster had vanished back into the airwaves. This public station had no engineers actively monitoring the signal at that hour, so unlike the first station, they could not cut it off. The intruder simply stopped on their own. By the next day, the strange double hijacking was the talk of the city, and soon the talk of the country. People wanted to know who had done it and how. Let us talk about the how. To override a commercial broadcast signal, the hijacker had to do something called signal intrusion. And it required serious power. Television stations beamed their programs up to relay points, often on top of tall buildings, which then broadcast to the city. To hijack the feed, the intruder had to overpower that link. That meant aiming a very strong signal from a custom-built transmitter directly at the station's relay point, drowning out the real broadcast with their own. This is not something an average person could do. It required knowledge of broadcast engineering, access to powerful and likely expensive equipment, and a precise understanding of how the signals traveled. Experts who studied the case agreed. Whoever did this was not a random prankster with a home video camera. They were someone with real technical expertise. Some suspected the culprits worked in the broadcast or telecommunications industry, where they would have the skills and perhaps the equipment to pull it off. And yet, despite the skill involved, the intrusion itself was strange and chaotic. It was not a political message or an advertisement. It was bizarre, mocking, and deeply odd. It seemed to be done purely for the thrill of it. A demonstration of power, perhaps. A dare, or simply a strange joke aimed at the entire city. The authorities took it very seriously. Hijacking a broadcast signal is a federal crime, and the agency that regulates the airwaves launched an investigation. They had video recordings of both intrusions, captured by viewers and the stations. They studied every frame, every word, every sound, searching for clues. They analyzed the background noises, the references in the rambling speech, and the equipment that would have been needed. They followed leads across the city. There was talk of large fines and even prison time for whoever was responsible. The pressure to catch them was real. And yet the investigation hit a wall. The problem with signal intrusion is that the intruder does not have to be at the station. They could broadcast from a vehicle or a hidden room, anywhere with a line of sight to the relay. And once they switched off their transmitter and packed up, there was almost nothing left to trace. No fingerprints in the airwaves. No address to raid. The hijackers had been careful. They wore a full mask in disguise. They never showed their faces or gave their real names. They left no solid evidence behind. Over the years, theories have swirled. Many believe it was the work of a small group, perhaps 2 or more people, given the second figure who appeared in the broadcast. Some pointed to the world of computer hobbyists and broadcast enthusiasts, tight-knit communities of people with exactly the right skills and a taste for mischief. Decades later, an anonymous online account claimed to know the identities of those involved, describing 2 brothers with a deep knowledge of electronics. But the claim could never be verified. Without a confession, without hard evidence, and with so much time gone by, the claim remains just another piece of the puzzle. Intriguing but unproven. And so the case has never been closed. No one has ever been charged. No one has ever been confirmed as the masked figure who seized the airwaves over Chicago. Today, the recordings of the Max Headroom incident still circulate online, as strange and unsettling now as they were then. People watch them trying to decode the rambling words. It remains one of the only successful television hijackings in American history to go completely unsolved. A ghost in the machine who appeared for 90 seconds and was never seen again. Someone out there knows exactly what happened that night in 1987. They built the transmitter. They wore the mask. And they have kept their secret for decades. The Max Headroom incident.